So we've got price in a downtrend. We're basically at price is right at 630 of yesterday. So either we're going to support back up here or we'll break down. The price was in a nice downtrend. So basically are we gonna stay in a downtrend and go P down to S1, or are we gonna break back up and put us above P, possibly make our way back up to R1? 4 minutes. Oh man, I've been so busy. Last night I was up till 3 a.m. Oh my gosh, craziness. That move yesterday was super easy. Alright, 25 seconds and we up. Hey, what up, Shift Up? Finally get to catch me live. I'm here, baby. Yeah, I wasn't able to trade live yesterday. And even today, I'm pretty damn tired. But I was up till like 3 a.m. doing nonsense. But we got open right now. So prices in a downtrend underneath perp. Prices in a downtrend underneath perp. The nearest gold zone movement was P break. And we're underneath P right now. So on any normal day we'd expect P down to S1. But we're pretty overbought, oversold. And if we're looking at the movement from yesterday, 6:30, price is literally at 6:30's low of yesterday. So this area could be an area of support, and price will could bounce us right back up and over, which is kind of nice because we have this nice downtrend line from London session. If price bounces off of here and supports back up and above perp, I might believe it to the top side. But if not, then price coming down P to S1 is highly likely. So right now we got some rejection to the top. Whew. I'm tired as shit. So we got some volume to the top. There's some big support here going into P gold zone. What do we got? 2.5 left. Oh shit. I'm gonna be so happy to just take an entry and then go back to sleep. My fucking eyes are heavy right now. I went to sleep at like 3 and I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to be up in freaking 3.5 hours. How do I get these gold levels on my chart, sir? So this is part of the gold zones are part of my strategy. So these indicators, all of the indicators that you see here, you could receive by becoming a juice member. I would say, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but send me a message on Instagram and then we can talk about it. I mean, whether or not I have a ton of juice members, so some of them trade live with me in a Discord, and then some of them just trade on their own. So it really just depends on what you're trying to get out of your trading. I don't know. I don't know where you are with trading, but I do teach this, and all these indicators, are included with the membership. So feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram. I only go live on YouTube. I don't really be replying to people, but yeah, my Instagram is Edward. I will put it in the chat. And my whole strategy is based off of those gold zones. So it's interesting that you've pointed them out, because I think you've commented before. I just never had a chance to reply. But this is my Instagram. Give me a follow and DM me on Instagram, and then we can talk about that. But yeah, I teach, and all of these indicators. I mean, whether or not you just need the gold zones, or whether you would like a whole trading strategy to follow, we can talk about that. So we got support to the top. This is the downtrend line. So London session downtrend line. So price is at a gold zone, and that's good. That's good, right? Because we would like to take an entry, and I like taking my entries near or on the gold zone. The gold zones, act as areas of support and resistance, and all we got to do is wait to see how price responds to this area. So price relative to perp is on top of perp right now, right? We're kind of fighting it, pushing right back underneath perp, so we can kind of be nice and patient here to see if price stays above perp. There's a good chance that we'll head up, right? But if not, even look at the whole London session. The whole London session, price stayed underneath perp, and every time it went up to perp, price dropped. So that in itself is pretty much what I'm looking at, right? If price stays above perp and price goes above P gold zone, there's a good chance that price will continue up. But right now, with how things are looking, price is currently underneath P gold zone, so there's still a chance that price will push down. If price pushes back underneath perp, then I might believe that price will drop. Just the levels, I find them interesting. I've been trading for 8 years now. I don't want to change my strategy, and I just wanted to review them on my charts. Very nice. Well, the only way that you can receive these is if you are a member that is paying me money every month. My trading strategy is definitely not free, but I've been doing this for over 15 years. I haven't changed a thing with my strategy in almost a decade. So, you can scroll through my IG, look at my progress, and look at my trades that I post every day. You can come on live and see what I do here, but my indicators are definitely not something that's available for free. But we can talk, if you want to talk about it, DM me. I'm just a normal person, as you can see. I'm nobody crazy special. I'm just somebody that figured out how to trade, and I've been doing it a long time. So we got price rejecting the gold zone right now. And my entire strategy is based off of these gold zones and what price does with these gold zones. So now that we're getting this price rejection here, we're still pretty oversold, but let's see how we finish on this candle here. Because right now, if this ends the way it does, and it's a pretty bearish candle, you know, I would believe price would want to come down. The only thing that I'm fighting against is we've moved down quite a bit for the day. We've moved down about 4,000 pips already. So 4,000 pips to the downside. We're wicking the bottom now. So yeah, we might just have to be patient here. Awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, and just, you know, I'm a normal person, so feel free to hit me up and, you know, talk to me and we can try to figure something out though. But, you know, for people who want to learn my strategy or want to look at any of my indicators, you know, I'm more than happy to jump on a call and talk about it. So, and let you know like what every indicator is and how it can be utilized, because there's a lot of people that use my strategy and they've only implemented certain indicators as well. Because there's tons of strategies and there's tons of indicators that work. But what I like, give me 1 second, I'm trying to look at some things. All I know is that with my indicators and how I trade, it works. You know, there's other strategies out there that definitely do work as well, but I just, you know, I've been trading the same way for so long. So, but yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk about things. Just hit me up in my DMs. So we got price here stalling out, trying to break the low. I'm trying to decide if there's enough volume in this coming down, because either this will be a bottom, right? Either this right here will be a bottom and price will head up, or we'll see price continue to drop down here as we're underneath perp still. It's about a 650 pip stop loss. The only reason why I'm hesitant about taking it down is we've been oversold the entirety of London session, and we've moved 4,000 pips to the downside. So I'm kind of alright with being patient here. Yesterday was a little bit different because price pushed, right? If we're looking at the gold zone, 630, yes, although it's a pretty big ass risk, right? And there's always going to be risks like this. So what do? Well, you need to adjust your lot size, right, to accommodate how many pips you're going to be risking. But look at 630. 630 pushes right through R1 gold zone hard. In about 25 minutes, you would have been up to the next gold zone. So shift up, you know, just for your knowledge too. The way we look at the gold zones is like a roadmap. So if we end up breaking one gold zone like this yesterday, R1, if we're breaking R1 to go up, well, the likelihood of us going to the next gold zone on top is very high. So it's like a roadmap. It's like an on-ramp and then the off-ramp. And, you know, like with any good trading strategy, if you said you've been trading for about 8 years now, then you know that, you know, the entry is important, but the exit is probably just as important, if not more important. Because everybody can get into good entries. Everybody does get into good entries. But sometimes people hold entries too long, price retraces. You know, the gold zones give us visual cues on where to possibly take an entry and where to exit. That's why my strategy and the gold zones are that powerful. And it does the same thing every day. As long as we're patient, we'll see where the move is. Because literally that's just it, right? We can forecast right now. Right now price is underneath P gold zone. So technically on any average day, we would expect price just to come down to this gold zone. And if price does come down to this gold zone, it makes sense because, well, our 500 is here. So that'll put price closer to getting to the 500, which we know price likes to get magnetized to and then bounce up. And in that same aspect, if price bounces up through P gold zone right now, well, the likelihood of price going P to R1 gold zone is very high. So I know that there's opportunity to the upside or to the downside. All we have to do is be patient and wait for this clutter, because we're currently in a range, right? This is just like from 630, price has only gone up and down about 1,000 pips. All we gotta do is wait to see where price is going to be breaking out of this type of area. Is it going to respect perp and come down, or are we going to break perp and head up? That is the question. And all we gotta do is wait. Oh, I'm fucking delirious right now, though. I can't wait for the entry to hurry the fuck up so I can go back to sleep. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, my stomach's growling. If we look at Nas, I'm looking at Nas right now, and price on Nas went gold zone to gold zone already. Broke S1 down to S2, but I was too busy paying attention to US30 because US30 is priority to me. But if I'm just even looking at not NASDAQ, which is the bottom, price already ran S1 gold zone to S2 gold zone. So we're still getting some support here, right on perp. So we got price making a little support here.
What was that like for you? How did you navigate all of that?
Yeah, I would say my whole career on social media has been pretty rough.
In light of the Democratic we're going to see here.
So we got price just kind of stuck here. But it is showing some support. Oh, we got some volume all of a sudden. That's some big volume. Nas is supporting up to 30 seconds left on this candle. Price is pushing up above perp again. The question is, are we going to stay above perp? Not quite, rejecting. It's a pretty big doji forming. You guys know how I feel about dojis. So we got doji. I bet you in the next few candles we'll get direction.
How much money do you think you can make in like 6 months? Oh, you probably making for sure, huh? You know, if not every month, every other month.
Can I clear the room just for a second? Sorry.
Doing this shit because we're fucking doing it and we love it, you understand? So when I stand up here and I see you over there, you should know, see me the fucking, this is me the fuck up.
So we got price pushing up a little slow. Three minutes left. Got volume up, but we're respecting this downtrend. Just gon' wait. So rejection here again. We're still within the 630 range, so don't be panicking, clicking all kinds of buttons, guys. We're legit just gonna wait for price to break out of this area. notorious. So we're rejecting. Maybe we do want to stay under.
Owner asked you to leave. Then I'm just leaving what I paid for. You've been here 3 hours and haven't tipped. Manager's made it clear. Time to go. Let's step outside. We'll talk out here. We need to head toward the front. Owner asked you to leave. I paid to get in. I'm just leaving what I paid for. You've been here 3 hours and haven't tipped. Manager's made it clear. Time to go. Let's step out.
Some big rejection here. Possible continuation.
Definitely Twitter. Yo, are you Trigger Bell actually?
So are we respecting perp and heading down is the question. We've got the low of the day that we're fighting right here, this 630 low. Price is back underneath perp. Right, so if price respects perp and this downtrend line, then price is likely to drop. Then Guardian de Viosa. And if we drop down to S1-ish gold zone, S1-ish gold zone is right underneath where price shot up yesterday 630. So it's kind of like what we're fighting against right now. We're fighting against this entire area that price shot straight up. It's exactly where we're at right now. That's why I feel like this area could play an area of like support and resistance here. But looking at perp and downtrend line and the gold zone, right? Highly likely that will drop. Let's see how we treat this low of the day though. So we got price breaking out, respecting the downtrend structure. This is kind of like the first attempt to get out of this area. What do we got? 2 minutes left on this candle. Getting some support here. So some support to the bottom, not quite breaking. Pretty big support here. Price tried to get out of that low of the day. Once again, all I'm really looking at is to see how price respects perp. Yeah, price is pushing perp right now. So price may not want to go down. That was its first attempt to break to the downside. And it's given us wicks to the bottom and now giving us some support back up. So really trying to see what price is doing relative to perp. Rejecting perp. Rejecting perp, but there's still support in this area.
With your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. What? 150 years ago, Oregon was the undisputed leader of the Pacific Northwest. It was the original territory and state, and it was an agricultural powerhouse. But today, Washington has nearly double the population, with an economy.
And why is Oregon so much less successful despite being so much older than Washington? As usual, the answer starts with the two states having similar but surprisingly different physical geographies. When most people picture the Pacific Northwest, they imagine a single monolithic landscape, endless rain, towering evergreen forests, and misty, dramatic coastlines. It's the land of Portland and Seattle, of coffee and grunge, a unified region of green. But this perception, while romantic, masks a profound truth. The states of Oregon and Washington, often seen as twins, are built on foundations that are deeply, almost fundamentally different. Oregon, one of the first great destination of America's westward expansion, is a land of incredible geographic diversity. But its landscape is also a paradox, a puzzle of fertile abundance locked next to profound isolation. Understanding this physical blueprint is the first step to understanding the entire history of the region. It's the story of why Oregon was the original prize, and how, baked into its very geology, were the seeds of its future. This geographic DNA laid down millions of years ago would ultimately play a crucial role in the story of two states, and why one pulled so dramatically far ahead. The story of both states begins with one colossal feature, the Cascade Mountain Range. This volcanic spine, running north to south, is not just a line of mountains. It's a wall that creates two entirely different worlds. To the west of the Cascades, moisture-laden air from the Pacific Ocean is forced upward, dumping massive amounts of rain and creating the lush, temperate rainforests that define the region. To the east, the air descends, now dry, creating a vast, arid rain shadow that stretches for hundreds of miles. But here's where the first crucial difference emerges. The Washington Cascades are defined by massive, isolated, and brutally rugged volcanoes, like Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens, built atop
Big rejection to perp and the downtrend line.
The Oregon Cascades, by contrast,
Let's see if we're staying underneath.
while crowned by
15 seconds left.
in the Three Sisters, the range itself is a more continuous, high-elevation constructural landscape. This subtle geologic difference would have major implications for how people and commerce would one day move across them. But the mountains themselves are only part of the story. The real game changer isn't the peaks, it's what lies on either side of them. In the west, the primary difference between the two states becomes crystal clear. Oregon's prize, the engine of its entire 19th century settlement, is the Willamette Valley. Tucked between the low-slung Coast Range and the mighty Cascades, the Willamette is a wide, flat, and profoundly fertile alluvial plain. It was, quite literally, the Eden at the end of the Oregon Trail. It was a paradise for farmers. This valley defined Oregon's destiny as an agricultural powerhouse. Washington, on the other hand, has the Puget Sound. This is not a valley. It's a massive, deep-water inland sea. It's a complex network of fjords, inlets, and natural harbors, all protected from the violent Pacific Ocean. This geography wasn't built for farming. It was built for shipping. While Oregon settlers looked down at the rich soil, Washington's future founders looked out at the deep water. This single difference, rich soil versus deep water, would define the economic DNA of both states for a century. But this east-west comparison only tells half the story. The true stark contrast lies in the other Oregon and the other Washington. If you drive east from Portland or Seattle, you enter the dry side. At a glance, they look similar. Sagebrush, basalt cliffs, and sweeping, empty skies. But geologically, they are worlds apart. Eastern Washington is the Columbia Plateau. Its destiny is dominated by the river that gives it its name. The mighty Columbia, joined by powerful tributaries like the Snake and Yakima, carved through this landscape. This river system, later harnessed by massive dams like the Grand Coulee, provides two critical resources: water for vast irrigation and a transport corridor to the sea. This is why Eastern Washington, while dry, is an agricultural behemoth of apples, wine, and wheat, and why it supports larger cities like Spokane and the Tri-Cities. Now look at Eastern Oregon. A huge portion of southeastern Oregon is not part of the Columbia Plateau. Instead, it's the high desert, a northern extension of the Great Basin. In the Great Basin, the rivers don't flow to the ocean. They flow inland and die in alkali flats and dry lake beds. This is a land of fault block mountains like the Steens and vast isolated basins. It is geographically
So still supporting here.
This is why Eastern Washington has a population of over 1.5 million, while the vast empty expanse of Eastern Oregon is home to fewer than 200,000. It's a land of isolation. Even the coastlines tell this story. Oregon's 363-mile coast is
Price is pushing back above perp. Once again, we're still in this like 630 range that we're trying to break out of. Whether it's the top or the bottom, we just gotta be patient.
It's a stunning, accessible line of sea stacks, cliffs, and public beaches, thanks to Highway 101 running directly beside it. But it has almost no natural deepwater ports. The one great port it has, Portland, is 100 miles inland from the Columbia, a river with one of the most dangerous maritime passages on Earth at its mouth. Washington's Pacific coast is short, wild, and mostly inaccessible. Its real coast is the 3,000 plus miles of shoreline inside the Puget Sound, offering some of the finest natural harbors on the planet. This is the physical stage. Oregon is a state of two halves, a gentle, fertile, and accessible western valley, and a vast, isolated, and harsh eastern desert. Washington is a state of connection, an industrial, deepwater western sound, and a productive, irrigated eastern plateau, both linked by the greatest river in the west. This geography explains why everyone came to Oregon first. The Willamette Valley was the obvious prize, but it doesn't explain how this head start was lost. To understand that, we have to look at the people themselves and the political lines they drew right across this dramatic landscape. That idea of a head start is key. Just having a great foundation isn't enough. You have to be proactive to maintain it. That's true for a region, and it's just as true for our own personal health, especially as schedules get busy. First, thank you to AG1 for sponsoring this video. Making these videos involves a lot of research with long recording days. And with more GeoLex travels and the holidays coming up, my routine is that I might miss when my diet isn't perfect, especially during busy work days and chaotic travel around the world. It helps me stay consistent, even when the rest of my routine isn't. So, if you want to take ownership of your health, AG1 is making it easy to get started. Go to drinkag1.com/Jeff or scan the QR code on your screen to claim your free one and the lines they drew that would change the destiny.
Big support here.
For more than 10,000 years,
Still in this range.
the Pacific Northwest was home to many, many indigenous cultures. The rich fisheries of the Columbia River were the domain of the Chinook, masters of trade. The fertile Willamette Valley, so crucial to our story, was carefully managed by the Calapia. East of the mountains, the high plains were home to the Nez Perce, Cayusa, Umatilla, and so many more. These societies were built around the land's resources: the salmon, the camas fruit, the deep water, and the dry plains. They were the first to understand the region's profound geographic divisions. But this ancient world, shaped by watersheds and tradition, was about to be violently redefined by an entirely new force. Straight lines drawn on a map by people who had never seen the land. The story of Oregon as a political idea begins not with a gradual settlement, but with a flood. In the 1840s, the concept known as manifest destiny gripped the United States. States. Spurred by glowing reports of a paradise at the end of the line, thousands of American settlers began a grueling 2,000-mile overland journey. This was the Oregon Trail, but they were not heading to the abstract Pacific Northwest. They were heading to a very specific place for a very specific reason. They were heading to the Willamette Valley. The Willamette Valley was, to their eyes, a pre-made Eden, fertile, flat, well-watered, and supposedly free for the taking. This singular focus had an immediate and permanent consequence. It established the Willamette Valley as the undisputed center of American power, population, and politics in the region. At the time, however, this land was not an American possession. It was Oregon country, a vast, undefined territory jointly occupied by the United States and Great Britain. But the sudden arrival of tens of thousands of American farmers quickly tipped the scales. By 1846, with the slogan 5440 or fight ringing in their ears, diplomats signed the Oregon.
We got big support here, 30 seconds left. So this is the first really big push back up and over perp. Right back into the uptrend line though. Price is like right there at the downtrend line. That's the downtrend line, that's the gold zone. So really, is price gonna stay above perp and break us out of this little range? The downtrend structure is still right there.
Ringing in their ears, diplomats signed the Oregon Treaty, formally ceding the entire region south of the 49th parallel to the United States. In 1848, the Oregon Territory was officially created. This new territory was a continental behemoth. It stretched from the Pacific to the Rockies, including all of modern-day Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and parts of Montana and Wyoming. And its entire political and economic gravity was centered in one place, the Willamette Valley. The capital was Oregon City and later Salem. The legislature, the businesses, and the population were all clustered south of the Columbia River. But there was a problem. A small but growing number of American settlers had not stopped in the Willamette Valley. They crossed the formidable Columbia River and headed north to the forested shores of the Puget Sound. These northern settlers were a different breed. They weren't primarily farmers looking for soil. They were loggers, merchants, and shippers looking for deep water and timber. Their entire existence was oriented around the Sound and the sea. From their perspective, the territorial government hundreds of miles south in Salem was, at best, irrelevant, and at worst, a hostile foreign power. They felt ignored, unrepresented, and misunderstood. The Columbia River, a geographic superhighway, had become a political and cultural goal. This next part completely changed the balance of power in the Northwest. In 1852, a group of frustrated settlers from the Puget Sound region gathered in the town of Monticello. They were furious. The Willamette Valley government, they claimed, taxed them without providing services, failed to protect them, and refused to build the roads they needed to survive. They drafted a petition to the U.S. Congress, making a radical request: split the Oregon Territory in two, right along the Columbia River. They were, in effect, declaring their independence from the Oregon establishment. They proposed to call the
So we're pushing into the gold zone now. We're back at the gold zone.
Agreed almost immediately. In 1853, the Washington Territory was born. In a final, slightly ironic twist, Congress rejected the name Columbia to avoid confusion with the District of Columbia, and instead named it Washington in honor of the first president, which is a little weird because it would also share that name with the country's capital. Anyways, this single political act cemented the region's destiny. The great unified Oregon Territory was gone. In its place were two new competing entities. Oregon, now with its vast northern half, consolidated its power in the Willamette Valley. Its population base secure and its agricultural economy.
Got some volume pushing up here.
Just 6 years later, in 1859, it was the 33rd
Getting priced back above gold zone.
of the Pacific Northwest. Washington, by contrast, was a sparsely populated, undeveloped wilderness. It had its deep water sound, endless forests, and its new shiny capital at Olympia, but little else. And because of that, it would languish as a territory for another 30 long years before finally joining the Union in 1889. By every metric of the 19th century, Oregon was destined to be the economic and political capital of the Pacific Northwest. The fact that it didn't happen, and that its northern neighbor would one day eclipse it in almost every way, is the real mystery, and it's where our story turns next. By nearly every metric, Oregon should have become the unassailable giant of the Pacific Northwest. Its primary city, Portland, was the region's dominant financial and cultural center. Seattle, by contrast, was a scrappy remote timber town. But today, the numbers tell an entirely different story. Washington's population of nearly 8 million people dwarfs Oregon's 4.3 million. Its 2024 GDP of over 850 billion is more than 2.5 times larger than Oregon's 331 billion. Its GDP per person is the fourth highest in the United States, while Oregon is stuck at 29. Washington boasts a higher...
Alright, gotta take a quick call, guys.
By nearly every measure, its economy is larger.
I'm gonna go on mute real fast. Alright, I'm back. I'm back. The price is still just stuck here in between perp and the gold zone. We're still in this open range, this 630 range. What the fuck, man? Yesterday price just ran. Today we're ranging like a mother. So price is still respecting that downtrend though, right? If you guys are looking at this, this isn't why I'm like not super eager to take the buy unless we break this downtrend structure. Price is still respecting this downtrend structure. Oh, my brain needs to sleep. It feels like it needs to detox. So, find something to do. Scroll on your phone. Read a book. Anything.
By nearly every measure, its economy is larger, more diversified, and more influential. So what happened? Oregon had the head start, but Washington had two aces up its sleeve, a deep water port and a relentless, opportunistic ambition. The Great Divergence didn't happen by accident. It was the result of two pivotal events that tipped the scales, followed by a century of compounding advantages. The first game changer came in 1897. Both states were in the grip of a severe economic depression. Then, on July 17th, a ship named the SS Portland, which is a strange coincidence, docked not in its namesake city, but in Seattle. It was carrying over 2 tons of gold from the Klondike in Canada. The gold rush was on. This is the moment that changed everything. Portland, the established city, was cautious, but Seattle city leaders, led by a man named Erastus Brainerd, saw a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They launched a massive, nationwide marketing campaign, printing hundreds of thousands of newspapers and flyers declaring Seattle as the one and only gateway to Alaska. They branded their city as the only place to buy the ton of goods that miners needed for the journey. It was one of the most successful marketing campaigns in American history. An estimated 75% of the prospectors and their money flooded into Seattle. By 1900, Seattle's bank clearances, the measure of money changing hands, had surpassed Portland's. Its population exploded, and the money from the rush wasn't just spent, it was invested. It built permanent shipping lines, a robust financial sector, and cemented the city's rail and port connections. In a single stroke, Seattle had stolen the region's momentum and its title as the financial capital of the Northwest. The second great divergence came with the 20th century. Oregon's economy, while diversifying, remained heavily anchored by its natural resources, primarily timber. Washington, however, leveraged its Klondike-built infrastructure and its superior ports for something bigger, global industry. In 1916, a timber merchant named William Boeing founded an airplane company on the shores of Lake Washington. While Oregon's economy rose and fell with the price of lumber, Boeing turned Washington into a global aerospace hub. Fueled by massive World War II and Cold War military contracts, Boeing became an economic engine on a scale Oregon had never and still hasn't seen. It wasn't just a
So we got some resistance here.
that built a massive, highly skilled, high-wage industrial middle class. This set the stage for the final decisive split in the 1980s. Both states faced a crisis as the timber industry collapsed, and both states pivoted brilliantly into technology. But how they pivoted reveals everything. Oregon built the Silicon Forest. This was a homegrown success story, seeded in the 1940s by Tektronix, a company that became a university for engineers who left to start hundreds of spin-off companies. This ecosystem attracted giants like Intel, which today operates its largest and most advanced R&D and manufacturing hub in the world in Hillsboro, just outside Portland. Alongside this, another Oregon original, Nike, grew from a van in Eugene to the world's dominant sportswear brand. These are massive, globally important companies that saved Oregon's economy. But here's the crucial difference. Oregon's tech industry, anchored by Intel, specialized in hardware manufacturing. The first game changer came in 1897. Both states were in the grip of a severe economic depression. Then, on July 17th, a ship named the SS Portland, which is a strange coincidence, docked not in its namesake city, but in Seattle. It was carrying over 2 tons of gold from the Klondike in Canada. The gold rush was on. This is the moment that changed everything. Portland, the established city, was cautious, but Seattle city leaders, led by a man named Erastus Brainerd, saw a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
So are we continuing?
Campaign, printing hundreds of thousands of newspapers and flyers declaring Seattle as the one and only gateway to Alaska. They branded their city as the only place to buy the ton of goods that miners needed for the journey. It was one of the most successful marketing campaigns in American history. An estimated 75% of the prospectors and their money flooded into Seattle. By 1900, Seattle's bank clearances, the measure of money changing hands, had surpassed Portland's. Its population exploded, and the money from the rush wasn't just spent, it was invested. It built permanent shipping lines, a robust financial sector, and cemented the city's rail and port connections. In a single stroke, Seattle had stolen the region's momentum and its title as the financial capital of the Northwest. The second great divergence came with the 20th century. Oregon's economy, while diversifying, remained heavily anchored by its natural resources, primarily timber. Washington, however, leveraged its Klondike-built infrastructure and its superior ports for something bigger, global industry. In 1916, a timber merchant named William Boeing founded an airplane company on the shores of Lake Washington. While Oregon's economy rose and fell with the price of lumber, Boeing turned Washington into a global aerospace hub. Fueled by massive World War II and Cold War military contracts, Boeing became an economic engine on a scale Oregon had never and still hasn't seen. It wasn't just a company, it was a quasi-public utility that built a massive, highly skilled, high-wage industrial middle class. This set the stage for the final decisive split in the 1980s. Both states faced a crisis as the timber industry collapsed, and both states pivoted brilliantly into technology. But how they pivoted reveals everything. Oregon built the Silicon Forest. This was a homegrown success story, seeded in the 1940s by Tektronix, a company that became a university for engineers who left to start hundreds of spin-off companies. This ecosystem attracted giants like Intel, which today operates its largest and most advanced R&D and manufacturing hub in the world in Hillsboro, just outside Portland. Alongside this, another Oregon original, Nike, grew from a van in Eugene to the world's dominant sportswear brand. These are massive, globally important companies that saved Oregon's economy. But here's the crucial difference. Oregon's tech industry, anchored by Intel, especially in hardware manufacturing,
Price is still at this low.
Washington's tech boom, built on the foundations of Boeing's engineering talent pool, went into software. In 1979, a company called Microsoft moved from New Mexico to its founder's home state. In the 1990s, another local, Jeff Bezos, founded an online bookstore called Amazon in a Bellevue garage. These two companies did not just create products, they created entire new, exponentially scalable digital platforms. Microsoft built the operating system for the personal computer. Amazon, leveraging its proximity to Seattle's mass support and shared infrastructure, built the operating system for global e-commerce. Then, they both built the cloud, Azure and Amazon Web Services, which is the foundation of the entire modern internet. This is the final answer to our puzzle. Oregon's economy, from the Willamette Valley farmers to the Nike and Intel campuses, is a story of incredible success in making things. It's a world-class economy of agriculture, apparel, and advanced manufacturing. But Washington's economy, from the Puget Sound ports to the Microsoft and Amazon campuses, is a story of leverage and multiplication. It built its fortune on being a gateway, first to Alaska's gold, then to Asia's markets, and finally to the world's data. By any measure, Oregon built one of the world's most successful economies. Its GDP per person at nearly $78,000 would place it ninth in the world if it was its own country. But Washington, by pure geographic luck and a few key moments of brilliant, ruthless strategy, managed to build an economic empire that dwarfs its older sibling. Speaking of Oregon, I'm back in my home state, and this week I'm heading south to Crater Lake to find out why Oregon has just a single national park. And you should come join me over on my travel channel. I hope you enjoyed learning all about Oregon and Washington. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, check out this video about Astoria, the Pacific Northwest's long-lost major city. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
That's interesting. Success is really always huge emphasis on geography. So we got some volume coming down again, 2 minutes left. Price is still underneath perp. Price is underneath the gold zone. We're looking like we're tipping downwards again. We've got a minute and a half left.
By certain operational metrics, flights scheduled or passengers flown, American Airlines is not only the largest air carrier in the US, but the largest in the world. And yet, by most financial metrics, margin, revenue, profit, it is the least effective of the Delta United American triathlete at actually making money. It's a curious dichotomy, but it's not explained by simple bad luck. The moment in which the airline's management could have made the right or the wrong decision, they made the wrong one. It started with COVID. In those earliest days of the pandemic, the big strategic call each airline had to make revolved around timeline. The aviation industry quickly understood that the demand for short-haul travel would likely recover sooner than the demand for long-haul travel due to a combination of government regulation and passenger preference. Therefore, it was clear the wide-body and long-haul planes predominantly used for intercontinental flights would not be necessary anytime soon. While each airline kept a portion of these planes operational for the skeleton international schedules they continued to operate, they each had to decide
some volume pushing us out.
United kept them all. Some sat in short-term storage at their maintenance hubs, others were flown to longer-term storage at desert airports like Roswell, New Mexico, and Victorville, California. Delta took a broadly similar approach with the exception of its 777s. These were old, comparatively inefficient aircraft that might not have remained in the airline's fleet for too much longer regardless, so Delta decided to just retire all 18 of them. American, meanwhile, clearly had a much more pessimistic prediction of what demand recovery would look like, and therefore they retired all of their A330, 767, and 757 aircraft, representing a massive 30% reduction in their long-haul fleet. It wasn't long before they regretted this decision. Fast forward to summer 2022, and Americans and Europeans were vaxxed and ready to travel. Transatlantic travel was up to about 90% of normal, and airlines were able to charge some of the highest fares ever thanks to the pent-up nature of this demand. People were willing to spend a lot after 2 years largely devoid of long-haul leisure travel. American Airlines, however, was only able to operate 80% of its normal schedule. They didn't have enough planes. Boeing was experiencing yet another manufacturing issue. The process for making small adjustments on the join between 77 fuselage components was not working properly, the connection between the parts was lumpier than it was supposed to be, so the FAA halted deliveries until the manufacturer could correct the issue. The consequence for American Airlines was that they didn't get 13 787 deliveries that they were expecting before the high-demand summer 2022 season. They said they wanted to operate 89% of their normal schedule, which would have been almost perfect for the 90% demand recovery that came into reality, but due to their aircraft shortage, they cut historically successful destinations like Edinburgh and Shannon. They were first on the chopping block because they'd previously been operated by the 757, the only smaller narrow-body plane equipped for transatlantic service, so it was better to devote their wide-body aircraft to higher demand destinations. American also cut their floundering Seattle to London route and made even more brutal cuts to the other continents that composed their long-haul network. Los Angeles to Sydney and Dallas to Santiago were gone, while frequencies went down to Sao Paulo, Beijing, and Shanghai, all in service of reallocating aircraft towards the Atlantic. In the years that followed, transatlantic demand stayed exceptionally strong. In 2023, Americans spent 17% more on international travel than they did in 2019. Then the next year, it went up to 27%. Just at the moment when the aviation industry came roaring back to life, American ended up with a smaller fleet, meaning they could capture less of that expansion. The money went to United and Delta. American lost out. But when Boeing finally resumed 77 deliveries, AA seemed to realize that not only did they mess up the timing of retirements, but also the composition. Their long-haul fleet was now over-indexed on newer airplanes. Newer doesn't always mean better for airlines, because newer also means more expensive. Airlines almost always lease or finance aircraft, so for costlier newer airplanes, their monthly payments are higher. These higher payments can be worth it because newer generations tend to be more fuel efficient. For every hour an airline flies a newer aircraft, they effectively recoup some of the costs of the higher payments through the fuel that they don't burn. So in order to make the trade from an older to newer aircraft worth it, there's a certain number of hours one needs to fly. American was struggling to reach those hours. Demand is seasonal. It's lower in the winter, higher in the summer, so there are fewer theoretical profitable flights one can operate in the winter, and there's value in operating less. Ideally, the airline keeps operating its more fuel-efficient aircraft at a high rate to keep offsetting the payments with fuel costs, then reduce the usage on their older aircraft where monthly payments are lower. So there's a theoretical correct ratio between newer and older aircraft, and Americans was too high. Therefore, even as they faced a shortage of aircraft, they decided to defer future deliveries of some of their incoming 787s, pushing them farther into the future to grow at a slower rate. American therefore still struggled to capture seasonal demand. They have to keep their aircraft operating to destinations with strong year-round demands like London, Tokyo, or Sydney. Today, 47% of their long-haul fleet is composed of newer generation wide-bodies, while for United it's 32% and Delta 37%. In 2019, American's corresponding percentage was 27%, meaning a small retirement of older aircraft could have put them at a similar fleet composition as their more successful competitors, but American management made the wrong call, putting them in a worse financial position. Meanwhile, the airline was floundering with the Pacific. Asia and Oceania demand is never on the scale of Europe, but there's still plenty, and more of it has always gone to United, Delta, and foreign airlines than to American. They've never really had a good way to service the Pacific. They do technically have a West Coast hub at LAX, but LAX isn't actually a very good place to have a trans-Pacific hub, mostly because everyone has a hub there. It's literally the only airport officially designated as a hub by all three of American, Delta, and United. The consequence is that none of them have a super large domestic network from LAX, and with a smaller domestic network, there are fewer origin cities that have well-timed American services to LAX to allow for direct connection to their trans-Pacific long hauls. United has a much bigger network from SFO, so they use that as their primary trans-Pacific hub while offering more minimal service out of LAX. Delta, meanwhile, focuses on Seattle, meaning they have bigger domestic networks out of these other hubs than American does out of LAX, allowing them to win the war for the shortest itinerary between the endless configurations of origins and destinations over the Pacific. Seemingly having come to a reckoning, American emerged from the pandemic with a far smaller trans-Pacific portfolio out of LAX, having
Price is heading down.
destinations to just 5, dropping Beijing, Shanghai,
Almost
Hong Kong,
about
Sao Paulo,
90% there.
Part of the reasoning was that they were flirting with the idea of competing in Seattle instead. Delta was
Yo.
strong, but so was Alaska, a short haul
What's going on?
at least at the time. Just 1 month before the pandemic, American and Alaska inked and announced a partnership that included, most notably, sales cooperation on Seattle flights, allowing passengers to buy an itinerary
When and where?
and international line service by American on one of their brand new long-haul flights at the airport. They were going to start with a flashy new route to Bangalore, a southern Indian city with a massive tech sector that's
Okay, and when are they supposed to be here? Because I'm trading right now, so I really don't get away from doing this unless I need to. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Just, I mean, I'll be focused, locked in for like the next probably half an hour. Okay, just, I mean, well, keep me posted because I gotta do shit after this too. So if they are gonna come, like, probably send them to get here like at 8 o'clock or something. Okay, just let me know. Okay, bye.
And the flight time to India for US Airlines was now a couple hours longer, making Bangalore out of range from Seattle. The London flight did start operating, but it didn't really change much since British Airways, which co-chairs with American, already operating multiple departures out of Seattle. The Shanghai flight, meanwhile, was perpetually pushed back due to China's longer-than-average COVID restrictions that all but killed demand. Then eventually the airline decided to start a couple of flights a week to the Chinese city out of Dallas instead. The decision might have been made with knowledge of what was coming. Later that year, Alaska announced its intention to merge with Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaiian had been struggling largely due to a cratering in demand from Japan. A mix of a poor exchange rate, inflated hotel costs, and longer COVID restrictions had been reducing the number of Japan. They do technically have a West Coast hub at LAX, but LAX isn't actually a very good place to have a trans-Pacific hub, mostly because everyone has a hub there, all parts of long hauls. United has a much bigger network from SFO, so they use that as their primary trans-Pacific hub while offering more minimal service out of LAX. Delta, meanwhile, focuses on Seattle, meaning they have bigger domestic networks out of these other hubs than American does out of LAX, allowing them to win the war for the shortest itinerary between the endless configurations of origins and destinations over the Pacific. Seemingly having come to a reckoning, American emerged from the pandemic with a far smaller trans-Pacific portfolio out of LAX, having pared back from 9 long-haul destinations to just 5, dropping Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Sao Paulo, and Tokyo Narita, adding Brisbane, and keeping Sydney, Auckland, Tokyo, Haneda, and London. Part of the reasoning was that they were flirting with the idea of competing in Seattle instead. Delta was strong there, but so was Alaska, a short-haul only airline, at least at the time. Just 1 month before the pandemic, American and Alaska inked and announced a partnership that included, most notably, sales cooperation on Seattle flights, allowing passengers to buy an itinerary with a domestic leg operated by Alaska and an international leg service by American on one of their brand new long-haul flights out of the airport. They were going to start with a flashy new route to Bangalore, a southern Indian city with a massive tech sector that's economically interlinked with the US's. There's a good bit of demand for travel between Bangalore and the US, but no airline had yet made that link nonstop. American would be the first, made possible largely thanks to Seattle's position just a tiny bit closer to the very faraway city. They couldn't comfortably make it from LAX year-bound with maximum payload, so Seattle was the perfect place for them to operate this new 15-hour flight. London would start soon after, feeding passengers to the hub of their primary European partner airline, British Airways. They later announced a third route, Shanghai, slated to start, at least at first, in March 2021. Only one of these routes saw the light of day. Bangalore was originally pushed back rather understandably due to COVID's demand shock. Then there were those 787 delivery delays and a crude prioritization of their tried and tested routes over the New England.
So we got price pushing into the gold zone now. This is coming into like London high of previous day. But we're kind of starting to stall out with volume. Yesterday we moved 5,300 pips. And today so far we've moved about 4,000 pips. Yeah, every day we're starting to move about that 4,000 to 6,000 pip range. We got price pushing into the gold zone here. Let's see if maybe price will give us a break. Just drop.
Tried and tested routes over this new endeavor. But then Russia invaded Ukraine, Western nations sanctioned Russia, Russia closed the airspace of the country sanctioning them, and the flight time to India for US airlines was now a couple hours longer, making Bangalore out of range from Seattle. The London flight did start operating, but it didn't really change much since British Airways, which co-chairs with American, already operated multiple departures out of Seattle. The Shanghai flight, meanwhile, was perpetually pushed back due to China's long-term decided to start a couple. Primary European partner airline, British Airways. They later announced a third route, Shanghai, slated to start, at least at first, in March 2021. Only one of these routes saw the light of day. Bangalore was originally pushed back rather understandably due to COVID's demand shock. Then there were those 77 delivery delays and a crude prioritization of their tried and tested routes over this new endeavor. But then Russia invaded Ukraine, Western nations sanctioned Russia, Russia closed the airspace of the country sanctioning them, and the flight time to India for US airlines was now a couple hours longer, making Bangalore out of range from Seattle. The London flight did start operating, but it didn't really change much since British Airways, which co-chairs with American, already operated multiple departures out of Seattle. The Shanghai flight, meanwhile, was perpetually pushed back due to China's long-term COVID restrictions.
We got price pushing into the gold zone now.
The decision might have been made with knowledge what was coming.
Good move.
To merge with Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaiian had been struggling largely due to a trade rate demand from Japan. A mix of a poor exchange rate, inflated hotel costs, and longer COVID restrictions had been reducing the number of Japanese vacationers to Hawaii. The struggling status meant Alaska was able to merge with the airline on favorable terms, and their plan was to siphon some of Hawaiian's wide-body aircraft away to build a long-haul network out of Seattle, essentially replacing American's role in the partnership. Steadily, cooperation was pared back, and perhaps as part of that, American eventually announced the cancellation of all its long-haul routes out of Seattle, and were still faced with the same problem of a poor trans-Pacific strategy. They ended up in a worse position than when they started. They were even further behind than before COVID. They just wasted time, resources, and money trying to make Seattle work, and it just didn't.
So I'd like to see if we're going to break, right? Just like how we were looking at price in regards to P, now we're looking at price in regards to S1. You know, will price bounce up from here, or will price drop? I'm in profit about 126, 130. I want to move into profit so that I don't lose any money, but I also want to give this some room to breathe if it wants to break S1 and head down. So my stop loss right now is a little bit underneath the previous level, which is roughly the last candle, the top of the last candle. So I'm going to leave this here. It's only about $40 in profit, stop loss in profit, but if price can break the gold zone, I'll move stop loss deeper into profit and let that ride. So as we're actually coming into the gold zone, I might go, yeah, there we go. So we're coming into S1 gold zone right now. My stop loss and profit about 40 bucks. Floating profit is 200. So as we are coming into the gold zone, which is exactly where we're at right now, I'm gonna go like about 188.50 in profit right there. That's roughly the gold zone. You know what, gold zone is probably like about 200, so I'm just gonna go right here, put me about 200 in profit. So floating profit 230, stop loss is in profit 200, and if we can break S1 gold zone, I'll hold this to the bottom and I'll just hold this as long as I can. Maybe we'll break this next level, maybe we'll go down to the 500, but this is a risk-free entry. This is a dub. All we did was be patient, wait for price to break. Floating in profit 250 right now. Let's go. So we got price breaking through S1. My stop loss is in profit 200. I'm floating in profit about 300. We're getting a nice drop here. Hard drop. So we're coming into S1 gold zone right now. So we're coming into S1 gold zone right now.
As you can see,
So big breakthrough S1.
it's something that you can find in everybody's house.
Oh, I'm in profit beautifully.
Some people even have their own business.
Easy money. Easy money. This is what we do. This is what we do. We got price. Let's see if this will stay strong under S1. You entered in at 730. Where did I enter in? Yeah, so I entered in for one contract at 725, the rejection of perp, and then I added as we broke 725. 730. One contract 725, added contract 730. Makes sense, right? I mean, let me know if it doesn't. We didn't break the downtrend. We rejected gold zone. We rejected perp. That 725 candle was worth at least one entry. And then what did we do? We just waited for 730 to break the low of the day and confirm that price wanted to continue down. Straightforward. Straightforward. What about 650? Okay. Why wouldn't I take 650? Why would I not take 650? Who knows? I know you guys know. I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Why, or even Yuzo, you tell me. You tell me why 650 is not the best entry to take. I'll wait for Irfan. I'll wait for Chris. You got input, Irfan? I'll wait for you too. Isaiah said didn't break previous candles, the low. Chris said oversold. You got anything for me, Irfan? Yep. All correct. So remember, at 635, price attempts to go down, right? And at 635, I felt like I almost wanted to enter in because of the wick to the top at 630, right? Think basing off of deduction, I was like, okay, 630 wick to the top, saw some pressure to the bottom, but then I look and it's just a flat bottom, right? It's a flat bottom from like 535. 535 in this entire time all the way up until New York Open was just a flat bottom. That was the low of the day. So yes, low of the day, oversold, not breaking those lows. 635, yes, pushes down. I'm not going to blindly take that until we break out of there. 650, well, it's the same thing, right? The same analysis in my head when 650 happens is the exact same analysis as 635. We haven't broke down, and if I'm looking at cross lines are starting to tilt upwards, so I'm afraid that price might be coming up, right? So I do nothing. Then yes, 650 hits. After that we see 705. I contemplated getting into one contract at 705, but why do I not get into it? Downtrend and pushing right into the gold zone, right? If I was to enter in at 705 for whatever reason, there's really less than like 100 pips or so. There's like less than 100 or 200 pips to the gold zone, and it's going against structure, right? Current structure is down. There's a fat fucking trend line right there. So I'm not going to take a buy into that. I'll take a buy if we break the trend line and we get above P, right? Because then at that point, I'm running P to R1. So that doesn't happen. And then for 15 minutes, price just goes sideways, right? We reject gold zone at 710. And then I'm just watching because I'm like, okay, price is still above perp. Price can still shoot above. But what does price do? Now we got 725. Now I'm like, okay, if I enter in here, I'm closer to P gold zone, which means that's good because I want to be on gold zone, or I want to be as close as possible to gold zone. But now what do I have? And this is something you started to realize. We have data. We have all of the candles from 535 all the way up until 725. And what has happened this entire time? What has happened the entire time from 535 all the way up until 725? Somebody tell me. What did price do that entire time? We stayed in a downtrend. What else? What is the one thing that always kills you guys? There you go. I knew somebody's gonna get it. Exactly. So we're in a range from 535 all the way to 725. What is the one thing that we know 100%? There's only one thing we know 100% about trading. What is that? What is the one thing that we for sure know happens on the chart? Exactly. We know price is going to move. We know it's going to break. So if we have data that just told us the entire time for about 2.5 hours that price just ranged, at some point I'm going to tell myself, pick a fucking direction, right? Like, pick a direction, Ed. Pick a direction based off of what we see. So that's what I did at 725. At that point, I told myself, God damn it, prices ranged for that long. Let's look at the structure, down. Let's look at perp, down. Let's look at gold zone, down. I make a decision based on the juice indicators. I get in 725 for one. 730 breaks, I add. We break through P down to S1. I move stop loss into profit at the gold zone, and now I'm like almost $500 in profit. So looking at my entry right now, floating in profit 423, roughly 420 floating in profit. Stop loss is still about 200 in profit. I am probably going to try to hold to see if price can get down to the 500, which is also a level. If price can get there, that'll probably put me at a solid, I don't know, maybe like $550, $600. Remember, I'm trading on 3 different accounts, so it is pretty substantial to even be right here at 400. I could exit right now, take 1200 for the day, but I'm going to keep my calm cool and see if we can get to the next level. Juice Strat, baby. And that's it, guys. You know, that's it. That's it. We know price is going to move. Make a decision. Right? That's all our job is to do. Make a decision. Follow the juice. If things make sense after the fact, you guys understand it. The part that's holding everybody back if it's not consistent is the implementation. And I am tapped out. So I moved stop loss a little bit into profit there. 350 in profit. That's good. Why am I conscious in this area? Why am I managing the entry in this area? The 500. That's another 350 times 3. That's 1,050 for the day. That entry, I think it was only like fucking 5 contracts. It wasn't even like huge. I didn't even risk the full 500 on that entry. Exactly. Right? Now, and that's what I'm looking at, right? So all of the reasons for me to manage the entry because the sell is finished, right? Because what do we know? We know that the end of a sell, the end of the downtrend, should be the beginning of the uptrend, right? So if I'm looking at this, and that's why we use, right? All of these indicators, everything that we do, it's a double-edged sword. It can hurt us just as much as it can help us. Just as much as when we enter in off of P gold zone, and we're looking to TP at S1 gold zone or the bottom of yesterday's low, that is where hopefully you exit, right? Or you start managing, you start moving stop loss into profit, because we don't want to blindly get price to get right here. Like we just worked so fucking hard to get into the entry from P down to S1, wait for S1 to break, and now that we're at a visual area, right? Chris, you can point that out. You see that this area is yesterday's low, is the level, is 500, this is a good time to just fucking move shit more into profit because price could bounce up. Right? We're overbought now, oversold. Even more. We're more oversold right now. So if price was to bounce up from this area, I would be like, great. That's the end of the downtrend. Let's see if the uptrend starts. Why would we get into the uptrend? For all of the reasons that we exited the downtrend, the sell, right? That's why I like trading, because it is the simplest fucking thing ever. Like, it really is. And every day, just remember that, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. The reason why we get in for a sell is going to be the same reason why we didn't get into the buy. The reason why we get into the buy are the same reasons we don't get into the sell. The reason why we're exiting the trade here is the same reason why I would look to get into a buy from here. Right? It's a peaceful fucking comforting thing when you start to realize that that is how easy this is. Right? And if we're looking at today's this range here, right, from 535 all the way to 725, 730, we survived the range, right? At least I did, right? Even if you lost, I don't care if you took a loss. Understand what just happened here, and if you did take a loss, I hope you made it up. If you took a loss and you didn't make it up, well, I want you to ask yourself why. Why did you not believe in it as it actually broke the wedge, right? The way I like to look at it, like with any wedge or any range, I don't care if you lose within it. At least you took, at least you tried, you made decisions. But as it actually broke, did you get into it, right? Because if you get into it as it breaks, well, you can cover up some of your loss, or you can possibly get into profit, right? And I say it like that because it's like a slap in the face. Like, first of all, if you're not patient enough to look at the data and then to make a decision on where you possibly think price is going to break out, well, you deserve a slap in the face. You know what I mean? In the most polite way. You know, that's the way that's the way I learned. Slap in the fucking face, you know? Except that came in the form of losing real money. But for you guys, you know, whether you're on a funded or on a demo account, like, you guys already know. Stay patient. Stay patient. Recognize what we're looking at. Like, everything ends up making sense after the fact. Tells me you guys know what you're doing, and tells me that there's something that you guys are doing that is messing it up. Right? And that's something to, like, write it on a piece of paper. Go fucking tattoo it on your forehead. You know, like, do whatever it takes. Because if you took a loser today within the wedge, you might want to consider go get a tattoo on your arm that says "Be patient." You know, it sounds extreme, but that bit, don't do it. Don't do it. You know, I don't know. You guys are not taking me serious, right? But you know, that's how serious you should treat it. You know, if the only thing standing in the way from you being consistent is being patient and paying attention to the data, why wouldn't you, right? That is like being able to get your bachelor's degree tomorrow. Like, if you could just do that, right? Like, picture yourself there. I know you guys have all probably seen that one meme of, like, the two different people with pickaxes digging for the gold, and the gold is just on the other side of the wall. Like, you're right there. And the only thing standing in the way from you guys in that gold is just one more swing. And that one more swing is just you guys being patient and reading the data. You know, like, that is how close you guys are to being able to do this full fucking time. You know? So, visualize this shit. You know? I sound nuts 99% of the time, whoever I fucking talk to on a daily basis thinks I'm nuts. That's cool with me. I do not. You know? Lions we don't spend time over the thoughts of sheep. You know? If you categorize yourself as a sheep and you want to become the lion, you want to become better, fuck everybody's opinions. Fuck your opinion if fuck your opinion if you're not doing better than me. Fuck your opinion if you're not even trying to do better than me, right? Like, I never look at competition as a bad thing. I look at competition as a motivation. You know, the majority of people end up looking at competition as like you hate me. It's like, no, I don't hate you guys. Like, even you guys who are my students, I never, right? I'm hard on you guys because I know you guys can fucking do it. I know you can. It's not that I don't think you can, right? Never think that. Never. I know you guys don't get depressed. I know you guys don't feel some type of way because I know you guys know I mean the best. And that's, you know, I know you guys can do it because you guys are trying. Anybody that would come to me and try to learn this, I would feel the same way because you did the one thing that nobody else is willing to do, and that is to just try. So, close. You guys also very close. Visualize this shit. Do the things that people laughed at me doing. I got fucking setups that I have in my room that I framed. And like, some of my friends that come over, they're like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, you don't get it. That is my future. Like, that is my shit, you know? And nobody understands. Nobody, you guys understand. But nobody understands that type of shit. But it's deep. It's deep, but it's not even that deep. It's deep because, you know, the how far I look in life compared to the majority of people that I know, it seems like I'm very far ahead. And I'm like, I'm not that far ahead. You guys just choose to live slightly more difficult lives than me, you know. That's it. That's it. And these are just, you know, I'll never be able to change their minds. Especially the ones who are closest to me. My closest friends had zero motivation, you know, in like me being able to do this over the years. And which is crazy because when I went to college, and I'm not going to keep you guys long because I gotta go fucking get some sleep. But last thing, you know, when I decided to go to college, because I didn't go to college right out of high school, you know, I was too broke in Hawaii. I was too broke. I had no direction. And I was just in survival mode. But when I decided that I was ready, right? That's my biggest thing. That's one of the biggest things I always remember is I didn't go to school out of high school, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because I didn't have money. I wasn't ready because I didn't have the resources. I wasn't ready because I didn't have any friends or family that actually did it, right? Like, I'm the first person in my family, generations, to get degrees. So I needed to figure all that part of my life out too by myself, which is scary to do, you know, but I'm pretty fearless. I knew what I needed to do, and I figured it out. So it's being fearless, guys. It is being fearless. But when I was ready to go to school, to come back to college, that was just it, right? I was ready to go back to college, and no matter, when I told some of my friends that I'm going to go to college, they were like, what? You know, what? They were like laughing. I was like, and I kind of laughed too, because it kind of was funny to me that I was ready to go to college. And if you're in like my year, 90s baby, when internet barely fucking happened, and you got a goofball like me, like, yeah, I get it. It's a little like, what? Feel free, laugh at it, but laugh at it and maybe motivate me. Like, good for you, Ed. It's fucking funny, because I wouldn't expect you to be ready and excited to go to college. You know, that's at least what I've the bare minimum of what I would have expected from my friends and family. But it was none of that. So just from the beginning, I was already like, yeah, this shit's pretty rough. This shit's rough, knowing that the closest people to me who I thought I could depend on for just some sort of motivation, it didn't exist, you know. But the point is, I was ready. I was ready, and I got my bachelor's in 3 years, where most people get it in 4. But I was like, let's not waste time. I worked full time. I went to school full time. I didn't take any quarters off, and I graduated in a year less than most people. And just from that, I was already like, okay, there's ways to live life that most people fucking aren't doing it. You messaged me. Let me see. Ruben, good shit. Ruben took that same entry. Love it. Ruben just messaged me on Instagram. I don't see yours, Irfan. Message request on Instagram? I don't see yours, bro. What is your name on Instagram? Let me look you up. I swear I had you. Yeah, try add me again. I could have sworn we were friends and like we've messaged before on Instagram. But see, price is stalling out here at the same spot where I pretty much exited. I texted you now. You might be texting the wrong person, bro. Because I do not see any messages from you. I'm literally looking through I'm looking at my phone right now. Is it the I Edward? Are you messaging I Edward?
So, like a legit one?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't see your request at all. Which is weird because you wouldn't really even need to request because we've messaged before on Instagram. Oh, we haven't? What is your name on Instagram? Message me your like in Discord right now, and I'll search for you. Oh, you know why? It's because your account's private. I thought I was following you. You gotta accept my friend request, and then I should be able to see your message. Yeah, and I'm in the message thing now. Here, hi. Yeah, see, so now I just messaged you. Okay, good. Yeah, so whoever you were messaging, it wasn't me, because this is the first message that I'm getting from you. Or I don't know, maybe there's some kind of disconnect or some kind of buggy thing on Instagram side, but yeah, that's the first time I'm seeing any message from you. Perfect. But yeah, Ruben got a piece of that. Emmanuel got a piece of that. It's all good. It's all good.
So,
But yeah, guys, just, if my whole point about that is that I was ready. I was ready, and then when I made the decision that I was going to be ready, letters are fun. When I made the decision that I was going to be ready to go to school, I did everything it fucking took. When I was ready to go get a corporate job, I did everything it took. When I was ready to learn how to trade, I did everything that it took. When I was ready to go and fucking take over Audi and Porsche's marketing department, I did everything it took. So like, I don't know, my life and the things I've done seem very extreme to the majority of people. And I'm like, compared to other successful people, my life ain't shit. Like, I've done nothing yet, like, at least that's how I feel. And that's probably why I will continue to keep being hungry and do new things. The reason why I do a lot of new things every day and research and all this type of shit is, well, you imagine I do the same thing every day on these charts, right? If there's anything that's the easiest thing in my day, it's trading, right? Like, if I was to write on a piece of paper the hardest to least hard, easiest things that I do throughout my day, first would probably be pissing in the toilet, like, that's the easiest thing I do in my morning. And then the second easiest is trading. Like, going to the gym is harder than trading. Figuring out what I'm going to eat for the day is harder than trading. And I like that. Like, you guys gotta write these things down like this so you can reinforce to yourself that this is actually easy compared to everything else that we do in our day. And it kind of helps to put things into perspective about your mindset on being able to do this. So every day there might be a different approach to how you're doing this, but just don't stop. Don't stop the beat. Boom, 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 boom. Alrighty, guys, I'm pretty Gucci. Anybody have any questions? I'm taking 350 times 3. I'm pretty alright with that. Yeah, I mean, money's money. I can live off of 250, 350 a day. Righty, Daniel. 250, 300 a day. And that's, last thing. Don't get it twisted about the damn profits, guys. Like, 200 and 300, I know, sometimes seems like little compared to other days that you may have made more. But just remember, a consistent, right, 20 days, a consistent 350 like I just made today on one account, a consistent 350 every day is $7,000 a month, right? I just did 350 times 3 accounts. That's 1,050 times 20. That's $21,000 in a month if I just do this every day, right? Write this shit down so that you guys can see it. Do the basic math so you can build upon, like, actual visual confirmation. Like, yeah, think about that shit. I'm probably I don't even know when I'm on track to make this month. I took a whole week off, so that's fine. I mean, I'm still on track for a 10 to 15 grand month if I can trade the same way I've been trading every day for the rest of my life. To make 20 grand in 1 month, come on, right? Times 12. 21 grand times 12 is 252,000. With the amount of time that we put into this every morning, come on. Whatever motivates you guys, write that shit out and put it in front of you every morning that you guys trade. And remember why you guys are trying to be serious about this. It's a funny world because, like, money is just a fucking figment of my imagination now. And it has been for a good while, ever since I got consistent at trading. Alright, price is on the 500. Who the fuck knows where it's going to go from here? Everything's oversold. There's a chance that price could just shoot right up here. But there's also a chance that price can go from S1 down to S2. So that's why at this point it's difficult to make a decision, because we're conflicted. We're conflicted on the 500 and we're conflicted on everything else. Price is still under perp. I wouldn't be looking for a buy unless price got above perp again. Right? Puzzle piece this shit together and don't get fucked. All the clues are right here in front of us. All we gotta do is make use of it. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna skedaddle. I'll give you guys a couple minutes if anybody has any other questions. Other than that, you guys know this is just rinse and repeat. This shit is rinse and repeat. We do the same thing every day, rinse and repeat. The hardest part is just not knowing which cycle is going to be longer than the other, right? Sometimes it runs really fast. Sometimes it ranges. You know, we know that in the trading day, there's going to be a little bit of all of that, right? So nothing should be a surprise to you guys. We know that there's going to be a little bit of a range. We know that there could be a little bit of a run. You know, there could be a combination of both. So if we know that those things can happen, prepare yourselves to take advantage of it all, right? No one trade is going to make you guys fucking successful. Remember that. So we're not looking for the home run every day. We're just looking for the $200-$300 days, right? Once again, today my stop loss, my initial like entry, I think I only risked like 400. I didn't risk my full 500. And I didn't risk the full 500 because once 730 hit, that's only like about 400, 500-ish pips to the next gold zone. So, no, you know, if it was like yesterday, 630 going up, shit, yeah, full port, I'll go the 500. But every day's slightly different, right? Every day's slightly different. Alrighty, guys, I'm gonna skedat then. I'm gonna take that moment of silence there since Daniel had said, "Cool, take care, man." As you guys are all Gucci, at least for today. Tomorrow is frickin' Friday. I'm supposed to go up to Seattle again for the weekend. Fuck. Got another busy weekend ahead of me, so. Oh, man. Yeah, I need to go sleep. My head needs to detox. Being outside of the Matrix is... I forget about time. I legit went to sleep at like 3:30 yesterday. Or like 3:30 last night, and then I got like fucking 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and then I was up. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I lose track of time. Time is just a fucking figment of my imagination. The sun just goes up and goes down for I don't know what reason. Alrighty, guys, I'm fucking talking bubbles now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna probably post my video when I get up again. I'm gonna go take a nap probably for like an hour or so. Alright guys, catch you guys tomorrow. Message me if you need me. Friday morning, I'll see you guys on. Laters. And if shift up, if you're still on YouTube, thank you for being here. I hope seeing what you saw today kind of opens your eyes about how my strategy works and how the gold zones work, right? So all we did was reject P gold zone, shot straight down to S1. Luckily S1 here gave us some volume pushing down, and we got the clean break, and that was nice. So that's how we use the juice strat. That's how the gold zones are utilized. It's like a map. It's like a map to where we're going. On ramp today was P, got on the freeway, went down to S1, broke through S1, continued down to the 500, and we're done for today. So a lot of what we do is nothing. A lot of what we do is absolutely nothing. We just respond to the charts. We respond to these candles, and that's it. So I hope whatever strategy you use, I hope it's a consistent one, and I hope it's good to you. If not, I'm here. We can always talk. We can talk about how maybe my strategy could be implemented with what you do. We can talk about using my strategy slowly. Like it's, I'm an open book, so feel free. I know you said you DM'd me. I am gonna go take a nap right now though, because I'm fucking tired. but I'll reply when I can. So it's good. I saw that you messaged a little while ago. So thank you for your patience, and I look forward to talking to you.